say buying a car is one of the biggest investments you'll ever make. But what happens when that investment turns out to be a money pit? Today, we're counting down the 17 least reliable cars according to Consumer Reports. This is a list you'll definitely want to avoid if you're in the market for a new ride or a headache. Starting off at number 17 is the 2019 Genesis G70. When the company launched this car in 2019, it was marketed as the ultimate luxury sports sedan, a direct rival to the BMW 3 Series and Audi A4. It came with flashy looks, a competitive price tag starting at $35,000, reaching up to $50,000 for higher trims, and an impressive 2.0-liter turbocharged inline-4 engine, delivering 252 horsepower. But beneath the shiny exterior, problems emerged almost immediately. Owners reported jerky, unpredictable shifts from the transmission, making for a frustrating driving experience. On top of that, excessive oil consumption meant frequent, unexpected refills, an issue no one expects from a brand new luxury car. The final blow came in 2020 when Genesis issued a recall for faulty fuel pumps. Despite its promising debut, the G70 failed to deliver where it mattered most. Next up at number 16 is the 2021 Volkswagen ID.4. Volkswagen had really big dreams for this model, their all-electric SUV with a promised 250-mile range and a starting price of $39,995. It seemed poised to challenge Tesla's dominance in the EV market. But instead of being the future, the ID.4 stumbled at the starting line. Software issues plagued the vehicle, with systems randomly restarting and wiping out navigation, climate control, and even basic driving functions. It felt like VW had rushed the tech without hitting update before launch. In real-world conditions, many drivers barely managed 220 miles if they weren't wrestling with charging issues first. VW's public fast chargers were notorious for failing to sync with the ID.4, compared to competitors like the Tesla Model Y or Hyundai Ioniq 5. This model felt underwhelming. I mean, when your car struggles just to function, it's hard to see it as the future of anything. At number 15 is the 2021 Ford F-150 Lightning. The hype was real when Ford announced its all-electric version of America's best-selling truck. It promised up to 563 horsepower, a 320-mile range, and a starting price of $55,974. Finally, a green truck with enough muscle to tow your camper and save the planet. What could go wrong? Well, a lot. Owners reported that the truck's battery pack would overheat during fast charging, leaving them stranded for hours while the system cooled down. And come on, if you're spending upwards of $50,000, the last thing you want is to feel like your truck needs a timeout. Then came the towing debacle. Ford marketed the Lightning as a capable workhorse, but towing heavy loads caused the range to plummet dramatically, sometimes dropping below 150 miles. For truck owners who rely on long-distance hauls, this was disappointing. Moving on to number 14, we have the 2018 Jeep Wrangler. For decades, the Wrangler has long been an off-road icon, but the 2018 model was more of a nightmare for daily drivers who expected reliability alongside the adventure. Starting at $28,045, this model featured a 3.6-liter V6 engine and 285 horsepower. While it handled wilderness adventures like a pro, it struggled with basic functionality. Owners reported rain seeping into the cabin due to poorly sealed roofs. Imagine paying nearly $30,000 for a vehicle only to feel like you're driving an indoor pool every time it rains. Safety wasn't exactly its strong suit either. Poor side impact crash test ratings left drivers questioning Jeep's priorities. And if that wasn't enough, Jeep issued recalls for steering defects that caused sudden loss of control. For all its off-road glory, the 2018 Wrangler's reliability leaves a lot to be desired. Sure, it can handle rocks, but can it handle a basic rainstorm? At number 13, we have the Nissan Frontier, a truck marketed as tough and dependable. Featuring a 4.0-liter V6 engine with 261 horsepower and a starting price of around $18,000. But for models from 2005 to 2008, that reputation took a serious hit. Normally, the radiator's job is to keep the engine cool, but in the Frontier, a defect allowed coolant to leak into the transmission fluid. If you think that sounds bad, the repair bills often exceeding $3,000 were even worse. What made the situation even more frustrating was Nissan's slow response. This issue persisted for years before a proper fix was introduced. For a truck that was supposed to embody rugged reliability, this was nothing short of a betrayal. Number 12 goes to the 2019 Volkswagen Jetta, a practical, budget-friendly option on paper. Priced at $18,745, it featured a 1.4-liter turbocharged engine, producing 147 horses, and offered an impressive 30 miles per gallon. For a compact sedan, it ticked all the right boxes, at least at first glance. Turbocharger failures began cropping up within the first 20,000 miles. The Jetta's electrical systems were also a complete nightmare. There are reports of infotainment screens freezing, instrument clusters going dark, and in some cases, the car stalling entirely while on the highway. If you've ever been stranded on the side of the road, you'll understand why affordable didn't feel like such a win. Sometimes you really do get what you pay for, and for the 2019 Jetta, that meant headaches. Coming in at number 11 is the 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee, priced at $29,495. This SUV came equipped with a 3.6-liter V6 engine, pushing 290 horsepower. Marketed as a premium family SUV, it promised comfort and performance, but delivered a frustrating ownership experience instead. The transmission was the main culprit here. The Grand Cherokee's gearbox seemed to have a mind of its own, frequently slipping into neutral while driving. The infotainment system crashed more often than a bad Wi-Fi connection. Electronic issues didn't stop there. The start-stop system failed unpredictably, power liftgates malfunctioned, and even the headlights joined in the chaos. But wait, what truly sealed the 2014 Grand Cherokee's spot on this list, though, was the high cost of repairs. Owners reported spending thousands on fixes, with some even resorting to lawsuits against Jeep for safety hazards caused by defective components. Alright, breaking into the top 10 is the 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. Adding a third row to the beloved Grand Cherokee should have been a win for Jeep. Instead, it became a textbook case of over-promising and under-delivering. Some owners reported door locks malfunctioning within a week of purchase. Yes, a week, raising serious concerns about safety. And if that wasn't frustrating enough, the infotainment system froze frequently. For a vehicle starting at over $40,000, the cabin's interior expectations were high, but owners described the interior as cheap and plasticky. Come on, Jeep. The first-year reliability rating of the Grand Cherokee L was awful and terrible, with multiple issues leaving buyers disappointed and questioning the value of their investment. A third row may have added seats, but it didn't add any reliability. At number 9 is the 2020 Ford Escape Hybrid. With a 2.5-liter hybrid engine delivering 200 horsepower, 41 miles per gallon, and a starting price of $28,265. It appeared to be a solid choice in the hybrid market. But the 2020 model proved that not every hybrid is a Prius. One of the most alarming issues was battery overheating. Owners reported instances where the hybrid battery pack would get so hot that it posed a fire risk. The problem was significant enough to prompt Ford to issue a recall, advising owners to exercise caution, not exactly reassuring. The model also suffered from sudden power loss while driving. Several drivers reported near misses as their vehicles abruptly lost speed in the middle of traffic. In just 2 years, Ford had to issue multiple recalls to address these issues, cementing the 2020 Escape Hybrid's place as one of the least reliable cars on the market. Next up at number 8, we have the 2018 Volvo XC60, starting at $42,495. This luxury SUV offered a turbocharged 2.0-liter engine with 250 horsepower, along with a suite of high-tech features. However, it lacked in the reliability department. Critical safety features like collision avoidance and adaptive cruise control had a nasty habit of failing without warning. Imagine relying on your car to stop in an emergency, only for it to decide it's out of office. That's a potential disaster. Owners also reported premature wear on the suspension. I know suspension issues might not seem like much, but when your sophisticated luxury SUV starts clunking over speed bumps, it's hard to feel posh. Replacing these parts wasn't cheap, with repair bills climbing into the thousands. It's as if Volvo was in such a rush to impress they forgot to make sure the XC60 could live up to its hefty price tag. As we move further down the list, the 2022 Rivian R1T grabs the spotlight at number 7. With a huge 835 horsepower, a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of just 3 seconds, and an EPA estimated range of 314 miles, Rivian's electric truck seemed poised to redefine the segment. At $73,000, the expectations were sky high. Unfortunately, the reality didn't quite match the promise. Owners towing trailers or hauling heavy loads saw ranges dropping as low as 200 miles, much lower than Rivian's promises and even further from the nearest charging station. Early adopters of this model faced software bugs, delayed service, and a lack of available parts. With so few dealerships and repair centers available, many owners waited weeks or even months for simple fixes. One Rivian owner joked that waiting for repairs felt like being in a long-distance relationship with a truck. For all its potential, the R1T struggled to deliver. At number 6, we find the 2022 Volkswagen Taos, introduced as a smaller, more affordable sibling to the Tiguan. With a starting price of $23,495 and a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine producing 158 horsepower, it aimed to attract young drivers and small families. However, the engine quickly became infamous for misfires and stalling, often at the worst possible moments, like merging onto a busy highway. Power loss was another frequent complaint, with drivers struggling to accelerate when it mattered most. The dashboard was awful as well, with frequent error messages and warning lights. Some even nicknamed it the Taos Error, while Volkswagen tried to position the Taos as a smart choice for tech-savvy buyers. Its glitchy performance turned into an ironic example of cutting corners backfiring. Now that we're here in the top 5, let's talk about the 2016 GMC Canyon. At $22,200, it promised rugged performance in a mid-sized truck package, with a 3.6-liter V6 engine producing 308 horsepower and solid towing capabilities. It seemed a great choice for drivers who wanted capability without, the bulk of a full-size truck. But it had some serious flaws. Owners frequently reported excessive oil consumption, finding themselves constantly topping off between changes. Left unchecked, this led to severe engine wear, with repair costs climbing to over $7,000 for replacements, often within the first 100,000 miles. Electrical problems added to the frustration. For a vehicle marketed as a reliable workhorse, the Canyon turned into more of a part-time job just to keep it running. At number 4, the Chevrolet Colorado from 2015 reminded us that even well-known brands can drop the ball, especially when it comes to reliability. Let's talk specs first. This mid-size truck came with 2 engine options, a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder promising 200 horsepower, and a 3.6-liter V6 cranking out 305 horsepower for those who wanted more power under the hood. Priced at around $20,000, it marked Chevy's comeback after a 3-year hiatus in the mid-size truck market. But it didn't go as planned. Owners reported a consistent shuddering sensation, as though the truck was perpetually stuck in a washing machine spin cycle. Chevy also seemed to underestimate just how corrosive road salt could be in northern climates. Key components like the undercarriage and brake lines rusted out shockingly fast, sometimes within just a few years. To make matters worse, the Colorado's electrical systems were terrible. Random warning lights popped up on the dash like it was hosting a disco party no one asked for. Chevy had the chance to dominate the segment, but with issues this glaring, they failed. Breaking into the top 3, we have the 2017 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. It was marketed as the first ever plug-in hybrid minivan, offering a blend of eco-friendly tech and family practicality. Starting at $41,995, it promised 33 miles of electric-only range, a big deal at the time. Unfortunately, revolutionary doesn't always mean reliable. Owners reported the van cutting out, yes, completely shutting down, often in the middle of busy intersections. Chrysler eventually issued recalls to address the issue, but by then the damage to its reputation was done. Some units were also prone to overheating, creating a fire risk significant enough to warrant warnings not to park the van near buildings. Even when it wasn't trying to self-destruct, the Pacifica Hybrid's tech turned against its drivers. Screens froze, navigation systems misdirected drivers, and the list of recalls seemed to grow by the month. For a vehicle designed to simplify family life, it often felt like a full-time job, just keeping it in check. A minivan that proved first isn't always best. Alright, taking the second spot is the 2021 Ford F-150 Hybrid. A surprising pick, I know, considering Ford's reputation and its iconic F-150 series. But as we've seen, even the best names can stumble when venturing into hybrid territory. With a starting price of $42,000, this truck featured a 3.5-liter V6 Power Boost engine, delivering a whopping 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque. It also claimed a towing capacity of 12,700 pounds. The bad news is the hybrid powertrain struggled with overheating issues, especially when towing heavy loads. Brake problems added another layer of frustration, with reports of inconsistent braking performance, with some even experiencing total brake failure. That's not exactly comforting when you're hauling thousands of pounds. Towing, which should have been its crowning glory, was another letdown. Mileage dropped below 10 miles per gallon when hauling heavy loads, leaving drivers wondering what part of hybrid efficiency they've missed. At number 1, we have the least reliable car according to Consumer Reports, the 2005 Ford Escape Hybrid. It's almost poetic, 2 Ford hybrids back to back, showing us how tough it is to get this tech right. As the first hybrid SUV in the US, the Escape Hybrid was groundbreaking. It featured a 2.3-liter 4-cylinder engine paired with an electric motor, delivering 155 horsepower and an impressive 36 miles per gallon, a big deal for its $26,000 price tag back then. But while it was eco-friendly on paper, owning one turned into an expensive nightmare. Battery degradation became a major issue, with many owners facing replacement costs of over $5,000. Well before hitting 100,000 miles, that's not all. High-mileage units had a nasty habit of stalling mid-drive. Ford attempted to fix this with software updates, but the problem stuck around like an unwanted house guest. Despite its historical significance as a hybrid pioneer, the 2005 Escape Hybrid's flaws earned it the title of least reliable car on this list. And that's a wrap. If you could pick one car on this list to avoid forever, which one would it be? Have you ever had an unreliable car that you still loved? What made you stick with it? Share your stories in the comments below. Before you go, don't forget to check out our recent video on why Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep are failing. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon. Thanks for watching.